Oh hey there, Screaming Ghostface fans! I bet you're all feeling pretty neglected after this past 31 days, and I have to apologize for that. I was really hoping that we could make every day Halloween, however unfortunately the original Douglas did not make it. I regret to inform you all that he was trapped in Christmas land and could not bear his fate, so he is no longer with us. However, I will be replacing him here. Luckily he went ahead and split his soul. It's still pretty much me, so it's weird referring to myself in third person, but I'm still me, but I'm not the original me. It's kind of like making a photocopy, or at least that's how the customer support at Voodoo for Dummies kind of explained it. But regardless, we're here back with a whole boatload of really cool Ghostface stuff. Of course, we haven't done any Ghostface videos in the past 31 days, so we have a lot of stuff to look at. This does include some of the stuff I picked up at the end of October as well as throughout the entire month of November. So let's go ahead and dive in. Before we take a look at these awesome Ghostface items though, I want to give a huge thank you to all of you who watched all the videos throughout the 31 days of Trick or Treat. I do love Screaming Ghostface stuff, but really I love masks from most different mask companies. Every single company usually has at least one cool mask. Many companies offer really awesome masks. A lot of companies offer incredibly cool masks, props, and more. And Trick or Treat Studios, in my opinion, is one of the best companies to do it. I wouldn't say they're the best. In my heart, Distortions Unlimited will always be number one. But Trick or Treat Studios has worked with Distortions, as well as Rudell, Be Something Studios, also known as Zagoni, many other mask companies, as well as independent artists, to bring us the coolest items in horror collecting. Many different mass-produced Michael Myers masks out of the movie mold, or at least with some kind of movie mold lineage. They've also put out pieces like that with movie mold lineage or directly out of the molds or made off of a master from many other properties as well. They've produced so many different cool masks, props, just a lot of different awesome stuff. And I know that they get a lot of hate for their quality, but really, even compared to many other companies who have been doing this throughout the last 50, 60 years, their quality is really great. I also do want to state that that event was not necessarily sponsored by Trick or Treat Studios at all. It was not paid for, I was not gifted free product to do these videos. These were all things I paid for out of pocket. I was mostly helped by Justin and Bo to receive the product as soon as possible so that I could do these videos for you all. And let me tell you, there were even some pieces that were not quite ready, so I still have a lot of product ordered that I still have yet to receive, so there will be more videos on Trick or Treat Studios stuff in the near future. It was an event that I thought would be a ton of fun because I've done so many videos exclusively on Screaming Ghostface stuff for so long that covering a large variety of other horror franchises that I also love and taking a look at so many different cool products I've wanted to see for years anyway seemed like a great idea. And if it's something I was interested in, chances are there's other people out there that are interested in seeing at least some product reviews on those pieces before they buy them. So I hope you all enjoyed those videos, but now back to your regularly scheduled Ghostface programming. We have quite a few different Ghostface items to take a look at today, so let's go ahead and dive in. Let's go ahead and start with one of the newest, the new Migo Ghostface action figure. So this is an odd one, and it seems that there's been some weird stuff surrounding the release of this figure. When they initially announced this figure, I think there was something like 14 different variants of the figure that were available, and so they had like many different mask variants, most of which already do exist, some of which though have never been created, like an inverse mask and a UK mask. Or UK flag mask, I should say more specifically. But there was a lot of weird ones in there, and they were intending to do that exclusively as a blind buy release, at least from my understanding that was the situation. So let's say you want to have every single figure. Who would know a Ghostface nerd like that? Well, you would have to just buy many different products until you eventually get all the ones you want, or you're going to play the secondhand market. Maybe you'll get lucky enough to trade with some people, but it just seemed like a kind of a bad idea in my opinion for something that was this high priced. But I think they ended up canceling that plan because I haven't seen anything online about all those different variants, and I didn't even know that these were still going to be coming out until I saw them on shelves in Walmart. Another thing that's weird about them They were released alongside the new version of Leatherface from the newest Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Victor Crowley from Hatchet. Both of those, up here, are labeled horror figures. However, Ghostface is specifically labeled a movie figure. Those other characters are also movie characters, but they're horror movie characters. Ghostface is a horror movie character, so I'm not sure why they're not putting it in with that genre. Seems a little bit odd, but maybe somebody out there has an answer as to why. Regardless, a lot of weird stuff surrounding this figure. I have no clue if they're doing all the different variants or not, and after seeing this in person, I kinda hope not. I have always enjoyed Migo's figures. I like their style. I think they're cool. This, however, is really disappointing. For the packaging here, you have the Scream 4 style Ghostface lettering along with the Scream 4 TD mask sporting Ghostface image that has been put on everything. And you do have a couple of little mask images over here that look to be just like images of ultrawhites that aren't even like cropped or shaped. They're just literally like JPEGs that are slapped on the front there. Kind of odd choice. Then on the back it says World's Greatest Migo Monsters, and you have an incredibly pixelated version of that Scream 4 image. And he's standing in front of a door. Looks kind of like, I guess, he's stabbing his knife into the door. The icon of Halloween, Ghostface. 8-inch action figure, 26 points of articulation. It has some information here about the creator of Migo, and of course some copyright information. And that's about it. Looking at the action figure, this thing is just really disappointing. Granted, Migo is always supposed to look kind of basic, and that kind of has a classic feel to it. The mask sculpt itself, in my opinion, not so great. It looks really flat, and just the shape of it overall looks a bit odd. Granted, there's many different shapes of Ghostface masks, so you could kind of get past that. But as far as nailing that perfect EU look, in my opinion, it's kind of off. I also noticed pretty poor paint application on most of them in stores. This was the best one, and even the mouth on it is kind of not painted very well. For the robe, looks pretty simple here. It's like your classic Fun World style robe. For the belt, they have just a piece of ribbon tied around the waist. And then you have what is probably the most insulting part, in my opinion, the knife, which looks like a steak knife. Some people thought it was a butter knife. In my opinion, it looks like your standard serrated steak knife. Really, this is one of the worst looking knives I've ever seen on an action figure. I hate being rude to, sculptors and people that create these toys, but that thing is just terrible looking. The boots look fine, his feet are a little bit crooked, and it seemed that the legs were crooked on most of the figures sealed, which isn't a huge deal. But yeah, here we have the new Migo Ghostface. Overall, kind of a disappointing Ghostface figure, in my opinion. Out of all the different Ghostface figures, I would probably rank this the lowest. I think it's just really poorly put together. But that's kind of supposed to be the point of Migo, so I don't know if I'm judging it too harshly, but let me know in the comment section down below for those of you who have picked up this figure so far. What do you think? Is this a hit or a miss? The next action figure we're going to be taking a look at, however, is one I've wanted for many years. In fact, this is also one I've come across many years at conventions for very cheap and never grabbed one. Kind of like the original Funko Ghostface. I saw them for super cheap, saw them everywhere, thought they would be plentiful, never really thought to grab it at that point in time, and then regretted it in the future. Here we have the Scream 4 Ghostface figure by NECA. These are pretty awesome, and most of you out there watching know how hard these are to come across. They weren't made like super limited numbers, at least as far as I know. There were a couple of different versions of this figure and a couple of different variants. By variants I mean, there's the classic mask version, which features the classic black and white mask. Then there was also a zombie mask version featuring a zombie mask. By versions instead of variants, I mean that the initial, at least I think the first one, is this one, with the part rubber, part fabric robe. Maybe I've got these mixed up, let me know in the comment section down below. But then there was another version that was made with a full rubber robe. Kind of a weird concept here. Most Ghostface figures have either a fully sculpted, and it's almost like a statue due to the robe, sculpted robe, or there's the ones that feature the fabric robes. This is kind of a mix. The top half is fully sculpted, whereas the bottom half is fabric, so it's kind of like he's wearing a skirt. And that's what keeps me guessing on whether this was the first edition or the other was the first edition. I can't recall if the change was made due to the fabric being too restricting for the legs to move, or if it was done because it looked like a skirt and people thought it looked ridiculous. But there were changes made with this figure. The one I have here is the classic mask with the fabric robe. So the bottom half, if you look closely, I don't know how well you can see it because the plastic is a little bit scuffed, but yeah, he has a fabric skirt on. And the only accessory he has is, of course, the trusty Buck 120. And it looks pretty darn accurate. There's been a lot of different Ghostface figures to get that wrong. This one got it right. The only thing wrong about this one, in my opinion, kinda is the mask. The mask on the figure always looked more like the K&B to me. And before I really knew all the details about the masks, I remember seeing these in conventions and looking at them and just going, I don't really want it because the face doesn't look right. It looks like that weird mask from Scream 1, but this is supposed to be Scream 4. Same thing with the other NECA figure, the other retro cloth, which was branded Scream 4, but also kind of looked like it was sporting the K&B mask, and the artwork looked like a Gen 1. So it was really confusing. However, this figure has a really cool feature. If you look on the bottom, it says special thanks to Fun World staff and Nate Reagan. So, this is the action figure that our buddy Nate Reagan over at Reagan Productions is credited on. And because of that, I'm probably going to go ahead and send this one over to Nate just to have him sign the bottom down here. There's just nothing but copyright text down there anyway, so it'll be out of the way and it'll be kind of a cool thing to have him sign. The left side of the figure has an image of the mask, the right side just has some blood splatter, and on the back here we have Ghostface, the icon of Halloween, and the figure itself, as well as a write-up. It says the icon of Halloween returns with this brand new action figure complete with knife accessory and over 14 points of articulation. Highly detailed and fully posable. Watch for more Ghostface figures and collectibles coming soon. To have been collecting during the Scream 4 era, or really to have been collecting during the earlier eras, would have been even better. But still, I'm really happy to finally add one of these to my collection, and for a really reasonable price. Alright, the last merchandise item we're going to be taking a look at is not an action figure, and also is unfortunately probably what I should have taken a look at first. Here is another new item, the Ghostface Lava Lamp. This is pretty crazy. I never really thought, out of all of the different things that they've made over the years, that they would make a Ghostface Lava Lamp. But yet, here I am, holding the Ghostface Lava Lamp, which is a Spencer's exclusive. So for those of you out there who go to Spencer's or know Spencer's, you will know that they do have quite a few lava lamps. And I believe that this is pretty much made by the same brand, at least that's what it seemed like looking at it on the shelf. On one side it has an image of the lamp and says actual size. Same thing on the other side. Front here pretty much the same image. And on the back it says glass globe, flowing black lava in red liquid, Ghostface decal on base and cap. And it says, keep the phone off the hook and stop peeking out the windows so you can relax and enjoy this killer lava lamp. And yeah, that's really it. So not a whole lot exciting about the box, and I debated on whether or not I would take this out. And I think I'm going to take it out for you guys. That's why I should have opened this first. This should have been on the entire time, heating up, so you guys could be watching it in the background while I talk. But maybe I can go ahead and open it up, get it plugged in, and when I talk about the masks, you guys will have something nice to look at. Here's the Ghostface Lava. The forbidden drink. Alright, and here is the base and the cap. The cap is essentially just a shot glass with blood splatter on it, and it's metallic. The bulb is also inside. And here's the base. Yeah, I guess it is literally just decals of Ghostface put on here. And it doesn't really even line up fully. At least it doesn't seem like it. Maybe it does. It's just a little bit off. The only complaint I really have here, of course, I'm kind of tired of the same old Ghostface images on the different products. I really feel like all of this real estate, all of this right here, this is prime Goop Scoop imagery real estate. Fun World, you guys are squandering that Goop Scoop image. You need to put that on some more products, I'm telling you, it's so awesome. However, it really is fine. It's just, you know, it looks like just another product that they slapped the Ghostface stuff on. And I'm sure it's going to be a cool lava lamp, so let's go ahead and get it plugged in and get it heating up. I just can't help but think, while unwrapping this thing, how cool it would have been if this came out in like the early 2000s, late 90s, when they were doing that kind of stuff. It probably would have had like purple liquid and green lava, or vice versa. Purple lava and green liquid. That would have been really cool. And probably would have had like a completely new type of artwork on it. of like a melty Ghostface or something. I don't know. I just think it would have been much cooler back then, but still, not a bad product now. Let's go ahead and get it plugged in and turned on though. Alright, I had to move some things around, but I've got the lava lamp set up, and hopefully you guys will be able to watch it do its thing while we finish out this video. Also, I thought about something else last minute. I technically did already have one of those Scream 4 NECA Ghostfaces. However, it was not an original sealed in the package version. Let me go ahead and show you what I mean. So a while back, I got this from Adam Lundrup, and it does look to be an original, or at least it looks to be the same quality. It's not like some poor quality remade recast, which does happen quite a bit in the action figure community these days, unfortunately, but it has the knife, it has the figure, and this version of the figure has the full rubber robe. So I at least do have one of each version here. However, I don't believe these scan box Scream 4 limited edition gift sets with a figure, some postcards, a Scream 4 film roll, I don't think this was legitimate. It's cool. I'm glad I have one. I appreciate Adam sending it over, especially now since I do have a fully sealed original version of the figure, but it just, it makes me question, is this original? Is it not? I mean, the packaging looks like it was created for it. It doesn't look like they just cut open one of those and shoved it in here, at least just comparing them. I don't know, let's compare them side by side real quick, and then we'll move on, I promise. Huh, well, after putting them side by side, yeah, I think I was wrong. So looking at the size of the packaging and the way that it's put together, I'm pretty sure the way that they put these together was just by buying a bunch of these, cutting them out of the packaging, and dropping the whole figure with the knife still sealed, taped in, just as is. They just took it out of the packaging and put it in this collector's edition box with versions of Scream 4 and film reel and postcards, I guess, to sell either copies of Scream 4 or I don't know. It's just such a weird product. If anybody knows anything more about these scan box pieces, I would love to hear. These first few masks I picked up to use as costume masks. I already have copies of each version of these. However, the copies that I own are either tagged, so I can't wear them, or they're really, really nice copies that I don't want to risk damaging. So I've come across some of these that were incredibly cheap, and they're really nice masks. The first one we're going to be taking a look at is this splotch mold mask. Some call it a Gen 1, some don't, but here we have a splotch in great shape other than the fact it's missing the tassels. Someone, for some reason long ago, cut the tassels off of this mask. But the shroud is in pretty nice condition. It's not really ripped, it's not torn, it's that really, really nice soft cotton. Overall, outside of that, it's a really great mask. There is also a little bit of fake blood here on the chin, but it's not super noticeable and I can probably clean that off no problem. Otherwise, the mask is in pretty great condition, so happy to have it. The next mask has been here all along. It's in the background. Another Poly Shroud RDS mask. However, this one is in much worse shape than the other one. I think the other one was like almost completely mint condition. This one, however, pretty ragged. The shroud is not in great shape, and also there are some pink stains on the face, so I figured it would be another good one to try pink away on. However, if not, if it doesn't work, maybe I'll go ahead and put a little bit of fake blood on it. For 20 bucks, I'm not too concerned about it, or maybe I'll reshroud it and make it a White Shroud RDS mask. Or if I can get the pink away fixed on it, I'll probably just go ahead and use that as the costume mask, because I really prefer poly shrouds over cotton shrouds if you're going to wear it for cosplay. Even if the cotton shroud is accurate to the costume, because you're more liable to rip or tear the cotton shroud, or even if you sweat in it, you can cause damage to it that way. You're probably more likely to damage the cotton shroud mask over the polyester shroud, so for those purposes, I would say if you're just looking for a mask to wear with your costume, poly shroud versions are usually much cheaper and easier to find, so I say go with those all the way. However, of course, if you're going to scrutinize over the smallest details, for a lot of the different versions, the cotton shroud is what was used in the movies. However, you guys can go watch my movie mask guides, that's not what we're here to talk about. Yeah, I guess I really should have turned on that lava lamp first, because the lava is not warm enough, and we're pretty much at the end of the video. But I'm going to go ahead and throw in an extra mask to maybe give it a little while longer, but let's go ahead and jump in. So the next mask is another piece that I picked up with the intention of turning into a costume mask. And I actually picked it up at pretty much the same time as the RDS. However, unlike the RDS, this thing cost a little bit more money. Here we have a incredibly beat up Generation 2 Polyshroud mask. And like the splotch mold, this one's had the streamers cut off, but instead they left this much. So I guess they just cut the actual sides of it off for some reason. Another shining example of how no one viewed these as collectibles. Everyone thought of them just as cheap Halloween masks, and they would just cut the mouth open, cut nose holes, cut the tassels off, willy-nilly. They didn't care. And unfortunately, even outside of the shroud damage, the mask does have some more problems. There's some blue stains running up the side of the mouth here, which I may be able to remove, but I'm not sure. There was also some like bubbles in the surface of the mask across the entire thing. Like this was just a really, really bubbly batch of vinyl poured in. So tons of facial bubbles. There's also a small hole here, almost kind of like chewed into the bottom of the mask. So pretty rough condition mask here. Nothing to be envious of by any means. But I figured, you know what, I'm going to try and clean it up, turn it into a nice costume mask, and if I can't, I can always maybe cover up these spots with some blood and make it a really, really cool display mask. For the price, it was still totally worth it, but it is a very, very rough Generation 2 to go with a very, very rough RDS. Yep, that lava lamp is bubbling, but it still ain't lava-ing. Well, moving right along anyway, I have a really cool mask to show you all. This was something that I actually picked up in a trade. And this is one of the nicest condition old masks that I've had in a long time. Here we have a pretty much factory new Generation 2 cotton shroud mask. This thing looks awesome. And this thing is in pretty much mint condition. Completely flat streamers. There's a little bit of a fold that happened here, and that's actually my fault. I was taking some photos, set a little something on the streamer. Now it's got a little fold in it, but it's no big deal. That's not damage. It's just a fold in the fabric. But really, the quality of the cotton is very nice, it's very soft, and it feels like brand new cotton. In fact, when I first got it, I immediately flipped it inside out because I thought maybe it had been reshrouded, but no, it's just that nice and new. It was very well kept. The vinyl on the mask as well has a great shape, and it's a very thin, pliable vinyl, but still it has like this very kind of odd, almost bluish white color to it, but it's not stained. However, you can see some of the glue from the eyes on the inside, and there's a little bit of glue right up here on the forehead. It looks almost like a thumbprint where maybe a factory worker had glued in the eyes and accidentally touched the front of the mask. But other than those factory defects, this thing is gorgeous. Absolutely one of the best looking early Generation 2 masks I've ever owned, if not the best. As far as the shape goes, it has like no bends and folds and stuff like that. This has a really great like catalog mask look to it. It's just an incredibly nice mask, and I don't know if I said who this came from yet, but it came from Michael Jovanovski. So Michael messaged me looking for a mask, and I happen to have that mask. However, the one that I had was the only one in my collection. I didn't really want to let it go, but he offered me this, and I think the value was definitely more so on this side, and also the mask I had would easily be replaced, whereas this, in this condition, would be very, very hard to do. So it was a trade I could not turn down. I was very happy to help him complete his set, and now I have what is probably like the nicest Gen 2, at least early Gen 2, I've ever had. I was incredibly happy with the trade, and I went ahead and threw him in a few different extras, and I think that made him even happier with the trade. So overall, a win-win. And guys, we won a lot today. There were quite a few awesome pieces in today's video, a couple of new ones with that new Ghostface Migo figure, which is a bit disappointing, and the lava lamp, which is pretty damn cool. However, it still isn't warm enough yet, so guess I'll give you guys some close-ups at the end of the video. That damn lava lamp still ain't hot enough. Well, this is going to be a long video anyway. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and hope you enjoyed taking a look at some really cool Ghostface items. I have some really awesome items on the way. Hopefully we'll be taking a look at those very soon. Regardless, hope you all enjoyed today's video and the rest of the videos throughout the 31 days of Trick or Treat. It has now come to an end, and we're back on to Ghostface and maybe, just maybe, a couple of other cool things. Love you all, thank you for watching, and see you next time.